right, I'm trying this for a second time because I don't know what's going on. Why am I not live? What is going on? Okay.
What is going on?
Okay. There I am. Okay, good. Okay. Cool. All right, I don't want to hear her. I was just making sure we were live because I tried this just a second ago and it wasn't live. I don't know what the dealio was there, but we're here and that's all that matters now. So, sorry about that. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another installment of Tootie's Toy Box. I'm, of course, your host, Miss Tootie Oden. That was weird. I don't know what that was, but I'm sorry. How to restart the video. So here we are restarting the video. Hopefully that doesn't mess anything up. If it does, it does. It is what it is. Hold on. Let me do this. Gotta fix my hair. Welcome to Tootie's Toy Box. I'm your host, Miss Tootie Oden. If you're new here, welcome. Even more so. If you like what happens by the end of this video, if you stick around till the end of this video, thank you. Do me a favor and leave a thumbs up. That's free to do. You can also subscribe to the channel, also free to do. I do it all the time. I splurge on subscriptions sometimes because they're free to do. So I do that. Today we are, as you can see, celebrating the life of Oliver Tree, who a lot of people are actually mourning at this moment. I kind of wanted to either jump ahead or maybe just stay a little bit behind when it comes to the mourning thing and celebrate who he was as an artist, as a human being, as a person. Just celebrate him for who he was. I think that's really important to do, especially when there's so many people hurting, especially so many young people. Oliver Tree was a force to be reckoned with. He was absolutely hilarious in so many ways and just the most unique ways. And the only reason why he was funny in unique ways is because he was himself. He wasn't afraid and never apologized for being who he was. And his whole thing was encouraging others to do the same and to be themselves and to be thankful for who they were. And for who they are. And I think that's such a beautiful, positive message that he was tremendously sending out to so many children, so many adults, so many young adults. It's insane how huge his fan base actually was. I was introduced to his work by my sons many years ago when he was still very, very new. Just barely blowing up on TikTok and whatnot. And my sons would pass by, shorts or YouTubes or whatever and see him. And the main thing that was recognizable about him to me was his bowl haircut. I'm like, that guy's weird. And then of course his songs. I'm a huge EDM fan. So, dude made some banging music. And it was fun. What a life. What a life that we're going to be here to celebrate for sure. So I do have some things for you guys. I'm not really sure how long this video is going to be, but I did write several pages of notes like I always do. These are all my notes, all handwritten. I take information off the internet and I write it down in my own words because that's what we do here on Tootie's Toy Box. So let's go through it. This is the life right here of Mr. Oliver Tree Nichols. So let's get started. Let me get my share screen going. Poop. You know what? Let's change the picture on that one. There we go. Oh, so precious. Okay. So let's get started. There we go. Lovely. All right. So let's go. Oliver Tree Nichols was born June 29, 1993 in Santa Cruz, California. His parents, Christine and Louis Nichols II, were actually circus performers for the Pickle Family Circus. Because of their profession, Oliver spent the first 12 years of his life living out of a mobile home and traveling all over the United States. Even with a nomadic, unconventional lifestyle, Oliver recalled the walls of the mobile home being lined with instruments, and he was always stimulated in the most positive ways. I actually have a cute one for that one. Hold on. One of these days I'll get better at doing this, but for now, this is what it is. At the age of 3, he started taking classical piano lessons. At age 4, he began writing his own original compositions. By age 6, it is claimed he had already written his first full-length album. There it is. Oliver's parents retired from the circus when he turned 12. They returned to Santa Cruz, where he attended Harbor High School. It's also where he fronted his first band, a ska project called Irony. He also learned to play guitar around this time. It's so funny that he actually chose ska as his first, like dipping his toes into music. It's such a fun and interesting genre because it's not a very popular one for a lot of kids. Maybe it was when he was high school. I'm thinking when he was in high school, it was 2009, 2008, something like that. Maybe 2012 even. Ska's ska's kind of dead. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's something floating out there where ska's not dead. But I just found that to be an interesting old school choice. So good for him. Good for him for finding ska. Where are we? Later in high school, he completely changed musical courses and became heavily interested in EDM. He taught himself how to DJ. As a teenager, he would play sets for artists. He would open for artists such as Skrillex and Zed is Dead. So I can imagine a high school kid being able to do that. Actually, I mean, he looks about 16 or so in this picture, and to be self-taught in all of these things, that is prodigy. That's an absolute a prodigy. That there's really no other way to say it. He didn't have to do any of these things. I'm not sure if there's deeper seated issues and that he was probably having to compete creatively with his parents. I don't think it was anything like that. But it could have been, in his own head. Either way, he did his homework. He studied. He was, I can only imagine what it was like to be in high school and maybe not feel so popular. So using my time to, get creative. For me, it was writing. For him, obviously, it was music and EDM at that, which is pretty cool. But what a ride! If his ride had ended there in high school, where he's opening for very well-known DJs, that'd be enough. So what an amazing start. In 2013, he released his first EP, Demons, through RNS Records. That project apparently caught the attention of Radiohead's Thom Yorke. So street cred. Radiohead's one of my favorite bands ever. Thom Yorke, one of my favorite DJs ever. He also is very, very, very huge on the scene of EDM music, and he's very fucking good, just so you know. So that's cool. That's cool that Thom Yorke actually recognized him and was like, hey, guy, like, I see you. That must have felt really, really good for Oliver. In 2016, his viral breakthrough, When I'm Down, was released, putting Oliver Tree officially on the artistry map. In 2020, okay, this is where it gets fun. In 2020, May 19th, Oliver set the Guinness World Record for riding the world's largest kick scooter to promote his debut studio album, Ugly is Beautiful. Now, I actually remember watching this video when it actually came out and laughing my booty off. Let's find it because I have it here somewhere. There it is. Let's play it. It's not very long, but let's do it.
We're gonna fucking make it! Ah! Ah! Look at him go! Oliver's only 50 feet from the mile marker. This is it!
Fucking shitting me! I'm gonna break this shit! Oh my God! I'm gonna make it! I'm gonna make it!
He's doing it! He's doing it! He's really doing it! Wait! It looks like he's falling over!
We got a man down. We're gonna need medics and...
All right. So yes, if you haven't watched that yet, it's online posthumously. Do him the honors and go watch it. It's like a 13-minute video. It's done really well. That's the thing about this guy. Most artists, most successful artists, even failed artists, really, they are perfectionists. They need things to be precisely one way, and if it's not that way, please, please don't look at me because I'm a failure. Most of them are like that, and so I think a lot of his projects, he poured everything into every single thing he did. There's a quote of him saying something to the effect of, I always come off as so unserious, but I think I'm one of the most serious artists of our time, because everything I do, I eat, breathe, and all I am is music and artistry. And, it kind of sounds pretentious to hear artists say things like that, but there's evidence with Oliver Tree that that's exactly what he did to become exactly who he was right before his passing. He gained a freedom that most artists don't get to experience right before he passed away. And that's something we're definitely going to touch on for sure. Let's move on. In 2021 and 2022, Oliver reached TikTok superstardom with his very well-known tracks, Life Goes On and Miss You. On April 1st, 2026, Oliver announced he was parting ways with Atlantic Records and negotiated extensively to have his songs returned to him so the album Love You Madly, Hate You Badly could be released on his own record label, Alien Boy Records. The album was released April 24th, 2026. Now, when he made the announcement that he was parting ways with Atlantic, people thought it was a joke. Because it was done on April 1st. From what I remember, he was very well known for trolling and playing all kinds of pranks and doing all kinds of things to keep his fans on their toes, and you need to keep his friends on their toes and whatnot. In fact, when it was announced initially that he had passed away in a plane crash, there were so many that kind of saw it as, oh, it's a hoax, it's another one of his trolls. Until gaining more and more information on the story. But the truth is, there are so many people now that still think the same thing. Like, no, he's alive, he's trolling. And it's almost like an Elvis. Elvis was the first one people couldn't believe actually passed away. And till this day, people think Elvis is still alive. Similar. This is what happens when somebody that's so beloved by so many is gone out of nowhere. He wasn't sick. He wasn't unhealthy. He was moving, he was on tour, he was happy, he was making videos, he was being himself. It has to be the most tragic thing people can experience is when you lose somebody that you actually love and they're just gone, whether you know them or not. I know there's this stigma between worshiping celebrities and this and that, but there's also a difference between worshiping a celebrity and actually appreciating somebody for what they did for you personally. I have artists that pulled me out of a rut and they don't even know me. Atmosphere is one. Slug. Look him up if you don't know who that is. I'm not sure I would be devastated if he passed away, but a part of me would be missing for sure if he passed away. And by devastated, I mean like, oh no, I can't live forever. That's what I mean by devastated. Of course, life goes on, no pun intended, but life goes on. And that's true. So, there for some people, for some kids especially, there's going to be a part of them that's going to be missing now, and I know a lot of kids felt that way about Juice WRLD and XXXTentacion and other artists like that just gone. And we're going to go through a little bit of a list when it comes to those artists. But first, let's tackle this video that he made about Atlantic Records.
Got word that my album is no longer coming out. Love You Madly, Hate You Badly is officially canceled, and I'm parting ways with Atlantic Records. Behind the scenes has been nothing short of a nightmare. I have no marketing budgets for music videos, no digital ad spend. Nobody really cares in the building, it seems like. I made a lot of money for Atlantic Records, and they don't seem to remember that. I have gotten no support. They forgot to ingest multiple songs into the system, which means the songs didn't come out. I had a Valentine's Day breakout song that didn't even get released because someone forgot to put it in. I don't really understand how that's possible. I've made them tens of millions of dollars, but they don't remember that. So, the music is owned by them. The remainder of the music will not be coming out. I will always continue to make music. Thank you for everyone who supported me. I can't wait to release more music at some point at a later time, but for now, there is nothing on the horizon.
So Oliver Tree, I'm gonna big this real quick. There we go. So the way it works for most record companies, I'm just gonna throw numbers out there just as an example. Let's say Oliver Tree signed a contract for $44 million. That $44 million is not, oh my God, I'm so rich. I have $44 million because I'm a good artist and I do music. That $44 million is for everything that he wants to do in order to produce an album. So that includes the plastic that it takes to make the vinyls. That includes the studio time, the hours that it takes to make the music. That includes the engineers. That includes executives. That includes producers that he wants to utilize. He was so talented. He collabed. He didn't need other producers because he made his own music. He wrote his own lyrics. So it's not like he was in need of things like that, but he enjoyed collaborating with other artists. World tours, promotions, things of that nature. Everything costs money. The gas for the tour buses, the plane rides that he has to take. You know, one plane ride can cost you over $10,000 alone. 10,000 is on the cheap end, mind you. It's probably more closer to 100,000 for a trip, depending on where he's going. And as you know, you can just go on his Instagram and you can see that Oliver Tree traveled everywhere. And I think a lot of that stemmed from the fact that he traveled everywhere when he was a child. He was all over the United States with his parents, you know, as they were performing, as they were circus performance. He just took that and just kept going. You know, so no wonder. I mean, what a beautiful thing. What a beautiful opportunity that he had to be able to travel the world the way he did. But it costs money. It does cost money. And all of that money that is offered to him by Atlantic Records is the money he had to utilize for all of that. It's not like the record company pays for all of that. This is their sponsorship, essentially, is that. Their sponsorship is $44 million. Do it, you know, utilize it correctly. I'm sure he bought a car. I'm sure he bought, you know, I'm sure there's mismanagement somewhere. Everybody does. Everybody would. I would. I would. So, you know, it is what it is. That's why he was explaining at the end there, I have no money for this. I have no money for this. I have no money for that, you know, in order for these things to actually keep going. Now, a lot of these times, these artists do sign these contracts, knowing what they're signing, knowing that they're signing deals with the devil. You know, not to be hyperbolic, you know, not to be, but at the same time, it's really what it is. Everybody knows that, right? Everybody knows that Hollywood and the music industry are pretty much run by demons. So, you know, it's not like we're hiding anything by saying that, by exposing that. The problem is when we start seeing that other artists are exposing the same thing that we as the public already know. They tend to not live a very long life much after. There's two ways. There's two ways that I've seen that these artists disappear the way they do. They are horrifically, tragically taken by some sort of aircraft on some sort of island, or they're ODing. Or they OD. So we'll get there. Oliver. Oh, let me go back to my share screen. Cool. We're there. Oliver kicked off his first world tour as an independent artist. Oh, am I sharing? I'm not. I told you guys this is live. There we go. It's going to remain live. I don't do edits. Oliver kicked off his first world tour as an independent artist on May 30th, 2026 in Mexico City, Mexico. The South American portion of this tour ended on June 6th in Sao Paulo, Brazil. On June 14th, 2026, Oliver, along with 7 others, died in... See, it was first told to me that there was 8 people on the plane. Now I'm being told that there was only 6 in total on the plane, which is 5, including Oliver. I'm not sure what is real because it seems like at the last minute that was changed. But yeah, on June 14th, 2026, Oliver, along with 7 others, died in a helicopter collision, thus abruptly ending the tour that was just beginning. So that is the story of Mr. Oliver Tree, in a nutshell. You know, not trying to rush the situation, but I do have some things that I want to bring up. Some interesting coincidences, I suppose I should say. I have a small list of other artists that, again, have made their places known as to where they stand when it comes to their record companies, when it comes to their labels, when it comes to the people who are representing them. Michael Jackson being one of the most famous ones to do so. Obviously he wasn't killed right away, right? But he was one of the most vocal about it, really. In fact, since the 80s, since the early 90s, late 80s. If you guys have not seen Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, which is a movie that he made, I think John Landis directed it. I don't know for sure. But if you watch Moonwalker, it's actually about a bad guy who wants to kidnap children and wants to harm children and wants to use them for certain things. And the bad guy, the villain's name in Michael Jackson's movie is Frankie Ladeo. Now, Michael Jackson's manager was at the time Frankie DeLeo. So all he did was just jumble up letters. And, you know, when we were kids, all we did was, Michael Jackson, oh my God. It wasn't even, but Michael Jackson was telling us what was going on. Back then, he was telling us, he was warning us as the public. This is what they're doing. This is what they're doing with us. This is what they want us to push on you guys. So just so you know, Frankie Ladeo, I think was his name. And I think his legit manager's name was Frankie Delano, which, you know, it couldn't have been more obvious. So it's funny that his managers were okay with it. Later on in life, it turned out that Michael Jackson was in pursuit of trying to desperately own his own music on top of gaining the catalog of the Beatles. And I think that is where the record companies decided that they were going to draw the line. I'm not trying to be completely conspiratorial. I just want us to recognize the patterns between all of this. So on June 25th, 2009, Michael Jackson overdosed of propofol in Los Angeles. Michael Jackson was no more. Michael Jackson was also about to start a world tour. So there's that. It's interesting. A lot of these coincidences aren't the same coincidences, but they are coincidences. I have 1, 2, 3 different artists that died on the 25th. All right. Michael Jackson being one. Lisa Left Eye Lopez passed away April 25th of 2002 in a car crash in Honduras. She was the only fatality out of 5. There was 5 other people in the car. She was the only one who passed away. On top of that, it was the second crash in Honduras that she experienced. The first one, a little boy passed away. So she crashed 2 times in Honduras. The first time, everybody survived, but a little boy whose last name also happened to be Lopez, you can look it up. The second crash, she passed away. Before she passed away, it was known that she said, there must be a demon following me. There's something following me. Basically afraid for her life, figuring out that, oh my God, I'm probably going to die, which is very creepy. I'm not, don't quote me on that. It's just, it has been said that she felt dark shadows. She felt a dark shadow before she passed away. Again, after the second crash, anybody would feel that after a crash, though. Especially if you've almost died, anybody would feel that way. So, there's that. August 25th, 2001, Aaliyah, at 22 years old, passed away in a plane crash. We all know that story. Everybody died eventually. Some of them died instantly. 3 of them died. Eventually succumbed to their injuries. The pilot, it turns out, was an unauthorized pilot. Similarly to what we're discovering with Oliver Tree, the pilot doesn't seem to have any record of being authorized to operate a helicopter. Not to suggest he wasn't a pilot, only to suggest he legally couldn't perform the actions he was performing by taking these people up in the air in Brazil. We were told with the Aaliyah story that it was because her baggage was too heavy, that there was an overload of bag. It was just, the plane was just too heavy to carry all that weight. And that's what we were told. And I remember being a young girl, being 16, 17 years old, finding out about Aaliyah's death and thinking, how selfish can you be? I remember being mad at her because I was a huge fan. And I remember being mad, like, how fucking diva are you? Because she never came off as a diva. And the way the news reported it, they reported it as if like Aaliyah refused to leave her belongings like behind. Like she needed them there, and that's what caused the crash. That's how the news initially came out with the news about Aaliyah and her untimely death at 22. Now, what we do know about that situation now, we don't know about any discrepancies with the record company. What we do know is that she was married to R. Kelly at the age of 15. We do know that he probably did some things to her that he probably shouldn't have done as she was 15. We do know that Aaliyah probably knew a lot more than she was ever able to expose. Juice WRLD. Let's go over the overdoses. December 8th, 2019, at 21 years old, Juice WRLD overdoses on oxy and codeine. September 7th, 2018, at 26 years old, Mac Miller in Los Angeles overdoses of fentanyl. November 15th, 2017, at 21, Lil Peep overdoses of fentanyl. Prince in Minnesota overdoses of fentanyl, April 21st, 2016, at the age of 57. Prince didn't even do drugs. But Prince was very loud about the record companies being assholes and screwing him over. Very loud. Just as loud as Michael Jackson. Prince was notoriously sober. Didn't drink, didn't do drugs, yet he was found dead in an elevator full of drugs. Who else do I have on here? I think that's all I have. On here. But I think there's something to be said about these coincidences and these patterns that we're seeing. I mean, another one that I can expose, or another handful that we can expose, is Chester Bennington, Avicii, and was it Tom Morello? No. Dave Navarro? No, it's not. Those guys are alive. Anyway, the fellas that we're going to expose, Pizzagate, essentially, the child trafficking that is happening here, definitely happening here in the United States, but happening globally. The child trafficking is a huge deal. We know that Oliver Tree, if you go on YouTube and you look up Mr. Pizza, he made these videos called Mr. Pizza. And Mr. Pizza is this, obviously, a pizza-shaped man, supposed to be funny, but not really, exposing pedophiles, basically. Don't ever let Mr. Pizza tell you this is our little secret. Never send pictures of yourself to anybody on the internet. Like just warning signs, trying to be cutesy, but at the same time, kind of like creepy messaging in a sense. And you start to see these patterns of these artists exposing this stuff, and either they go crazy, Kanye West, or they end up dying. Unless they comply, unless they stay within the bounds of their contract. And I'm not just talking about the contract that they sign legally for their music. The contract's way bigger than that. There's other things that these artists have to do and add and perform and make sure that this is in your background. It gets way bigger. And then these artists eventually get fed up. We're starting to see it with Justin Bieber. We're starting to see him go a little bit unhinged, is what people would say, given the things that he's saying. Mariah Carey ate her sister. He said that on an Instagram post, just a comment. Just let me drop this real quick. What does he mean? Mariah Carey ate her dead sister? What do you mean? Why is he saying that? Why do we think? Here's what I think. Okay. I think sometimes artists get pushed up against a wall so hard that they feel like they have nothing left to lose. Now, if we still have Kanye, the real Kanye, I think he's pushed up against a wall. If we still have the real Justin Bieber, I think the same thing. I think both of those artists feel like they have nothing left to lose. So let's just start talking shit and exposing things that we've known for years. It's pretty obvious Justin Bieber was abused, right? All the things that are coming out about P. Diddy, the videos that we've seen with Justin, it's pretty obvious that none of this is innocent. And truthfully, hot take, some of these artists that we celebrate are not innocent either. They're compliant because a lot of times they have to be. A lot of times they become compliant because they don't see it coming until it's already too late. I think that does include Oliver Tree, if I'm being very honest. I don't think it changes the fact, however, that when push comes to shove and the belief in their own art becomes more important than the money that they're making from it, is when they break free from all of that. And that is when the trouble comes about for every single one of them, not just the ones I just named. You can probably look at plenty of others that have gotten tired of the industry and said, I'm going to quit. You can't quit. You're fired. You know what I mean? Think about the money that Atlantic is making right now, posthumously off of Oliver Tree. Every single video I pass is in the millions now. Every single comment has over 100K likes, which means people are watching. Atlantic is making so much money at the moment. Coincidental? A benefit of the contract? I don't know. I'm not here to say for sure this is what they're doing. They're doing this and how dare they? I'm not here to say for sure. In fact, in Oliver Tree's case, I think it is just a tragic accident. A very well orchestrated tragic accident. But makes me wonder. It really does make me wonder. I was actually asking my best friend this the other day. How do they orchestrate something like this and then just understand that other people are just going to go with it? We've lost, I think, 2 young YouTubers that were with him on that helicopter. Unfortunately, I don't know who they are. I'm an old lady. May they also rest in peace. I'm not trying to disrespect any of the dead, that's for sure. I just personally don't happen to know them. You know, like how do you coordinate something like that? You know, the way it was done, where, you know, oh, everybody's on there, everybody's on the plane, oh, you know, whatever, let's do it anyway. You know, it's hard. It's such a hard thing to believe. But it's not a hard thing to believe when you start to see the patterns of the people that it's happened to before. Not necessarily months later. For Michael Jackson, it was years later. For Prince, it was years later. You know, it's not like oh, he said that. Oh, no, he's got to go. It doesn't always work that way, right? But I think sometimes it does work that way. I think sometimes there is something to be said about how selfish a company and a corporation can be, to the point where lives are being lost. It shouldn't be that shocking. We do it in war. We see it in war all the time. Lockheed Martin is like just a few miles away from where I am. Not a few, several hundred. Either way, it's down the road. Practically. And Lockheed Martin is responsible for genocides. Really. just a business, just a corporation, just a manufacturer that makes shit. Right? Are we supposed to see record companies any different? The money hungry aspect and idea of whatever it's going to cost in order for us to make, to stay in black for this quarter. Is it something that we can really put past them? I don't think so. But as far as Oliver's concerned, I think there's something that we have to remember. And that is, at this point, that part is irrelevant because it's going to keep happening. There's nothing we can do to stop it outside of what Oliver Tree already did for himself and for other artists. He stood up for himself. He became free. He became independent. He was able to fund his own world tour. He was able to start his own world tour, and he did a phenomenal job. And I think that is the pioneerism we need to see in more of our genuine artists. At the risk of life, that's the thing. I think that's the thing that these record labels want us to be afraid of. Not me, I'm not an artist, but you know what I'm saying. You better comply or else, right? I hope we continue to honor him and others like him. There's so many others like him that are now passed away that we do tend to mourn and we do tend to honor. And I'm going to assume by this time next week, we're going to be moving on to another story, another tragedy, hopefully not, but that's how it is. And I don't know if anybody else understood it so well the way Oliver did. Life goes on. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching this episode. I hope I remained as respectful as possible about this topic and about Oliver Tree. And I'm so thankful that I got to know who he was. I don't know him personally. I do know people that knew him personally, actually, and the kindest soul, the kindest human being you will ever meet. And I absolutely believe that. I absolutely genuinely believe that. He spoke the way he lived, and he lived the way he spoke. And man, is it hard to come by people like that nowadays. And it always seems that those are the ones that tend to go before anybody else. But I hope he's resting well, and I hope his family is going to eventually find comfort in his legacy. And his legacy only exists because of how untraditional and unconventional his upbringing was. And I can't imagine how blessed he probably felt by that. That is all I have for tonight, you guys. Thank you for joining me here on Tootie's Toy Box. If you did like this episode, it started crazy. My bad. Sorry. But if you did like this episode, do me a favor. Leave a thumbs up. Again, it's free to do. Subscribe to this channel. I do have big things planned for July 2nd, which is Tootie's Toy Box 1-year anniversary. I don't know what it is yet, but it's something big. I swear to God. So it's pretty soon. We'll find out. I'll be making an announcement. If you want to get day-by-day updates on this channel, you can follow me on Instagram. It's right there on the thingy there. Boop, 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 right there. Follow me on Instagram. Find me. Follow me. I usually post a lot of the going-ons here on this channel because it's a young channel. It's a new channel. I'm still trying to ring in the reins on what to do. I still don't like TikTok, so I'm not really on there. Probably should be, but I'm not. Anyway, have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful weekend, ladies and gentlemen. And to Oliver Tree, go rest in peace, my friend.